Welcome to the Tile Happy Hour. I hope you are having a great week. It's not National Tile Day anymore, but we're just going to take it National Tile Week. We're going to have a good time, having fun, talking about tile tonight. And we are back, me and my good friend, John Tedesco, here at the National... I don't know where we are. We're not at the national anything. We're not even together, John. What am I talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I can tell you that we're trying to get this live on my Instagram, and I'm not convinced it's working. So
I think it's working. My live is working. Did you hit start live video when you saw something?
It's not letting me click it. It's not letting me click. So weird. So I have the stream key and I'm trying. So yeah, folks, we go live, but right before we go live, we got to hit all sorts of buttons, right? And
there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on.
This is true. So I'm looking at John Tedesco, and I think I had to remove, and I think I got to add it back and see what we got going on here. So this is John Tedesco, co-host of the Tile Happy Hour with my special friend, Craig Cahoon. And
yes. And yeah, Keith, you're right. Neither one of us are sitting in Spain, but we're there in spirit, Keith. I bet you're there, aren't you? So Keith Stevens, if y'all don't remember, Keith Stevens co-hosted when John went on vacation for one of his many vacations. And I'm assuming Keith may be in Cevisama, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. I don't even know if I pronounced it correctly, but if you'll notice, I'm not in my studio. My kids, my wife and my daughter had winter break. So I've been working from the coast, and unfortunately, I will have to pack up and head back to the studio tomorrow. But I didn't want to miss a week because with National Tile Day being on Friday of last week, which was a great time, that I actually got to do the show here. And some of my family that I hadn't seen in a long time was here and actually watched the show live, which was really neat and kind of surreal at the same time. We didn't want to miss this week because this week is another milestone in the tile and stone industry. It's one of the largest trade shows for the industry. John, you know a lot more about it than I do, but like you've never been there.
Well, yes. So there's, in my opinion, the three biggest shows are one in the United States, one in Italy, and one in Spain. Those are the three biggest shows. And Cevisama, which is the show based in Spain, is one I have not been to because in my previous life in my family business, we imported Italian tile 100%.
No Spanish.
Nothing against the Spanish tile, but being of Italian descent and my dad being an immigrant to this country from Italy, we had a real big affinity to Italian products. My dad was considered a pioneer in actually importing Italian tile to the New York area in 1976. And so we're quite proud of that. And we did carry Spanish products, but through distributors that purchased. But the containers that arrived weekly were from Italy. And so Coverings is the show that's the United States show, which is started in 1990. So it's 34 years, I guess. And the show in Italy called Tresai is around it's around the end of the year, I think September, October. And then the Spanish show is the beginning of the year now, which is happening, and it's actually coinciding with another big show in the United States going on right now, which is the KBIS show, the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. Co-locating with IBS, the International Builders Show. So KBIS and IBIS are going on right now in Vegas. Every year I say I'm going because it's just a great show, but it's hard to work it into my schedule. It's not as important as the tile shows. So, but yeah, it's going on now. We have a big team there in Spain.
Well, we do have a great team there in Spain. And I do see from Keith, Keith's with us. He is in Nashville. So, John, I know you have a drink. I have a drink. It's happy hour. Cheers to all those in Spain, and cheers to all those that are back home having to work for the rest of those guys.
What do you?
But yeah, those
drinking?
the tile shows are very important. All of them are important. I have coverings has probably been the one that I go to the most, and the other ones I would like an opportunity to go. So if you are from the planning committee of Chersai or Cevisama or IBS, or maybe even a video game show, I don't know. We'll broadcast live there. You pay for us to get there. We'll have fun, and we'll do that. But
you know what, Craig? Next year, that's going to be our goal. We're going to be invited to Cevisama to do our show live from Spain.
That's all right. Okay, well, you're on it. You know all the important people. I only know tile nerds. So if you're out there watching and you're part of that discovery group, we're here for you. But wherever you are in the world, Spain, America, Nashville, I see the Tile Queen has joined us. And that's probably I'm assuming she is in New York City. But we're live. We're live, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on my Instagram, which I just looked at it and accidentally logged on to my personal Instagram and not my Tile Nerd Army Instagram. But who cares? Who's counting? We're live. We want to hear from you. Most platforms I can see on one of my two screens that I have down here in front of me. But if you're not watching live, it means you're watching on a playback, and we still want to hear from you. Right, John?
That's right. We want to know where you're watching from. So drop a line, say hello, and if you have a question, let us know. If you have a question and we're live now, we'll answer it now. If you don't, we always get questions after the show. So we certainly answer those questions, usually offline, and just, direct them to the person that's asking it. So, well, Craig,
John, that's a good point. And you said let's answer them offline, but I want to. I've had several questions over the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I thought, hey, maybe we could bring a question online. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
All right, I gotta find it. And this is from my my YouTube watcher. And Lord, I don't. That one's only sent 19 minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to digest that. So we're gonna skip that for now. But we just had a question about. Gosh. Well, we did get a comment that said this may be one of the groutiest videos of all time. So there was a video about grout. But the question from Cheryl Paquette 1378. Thanks, Cheryl, for jumping in. She watched this week To Seal or Not to Seal. Do you remember that show, John?
I do.
Yeah, and her question was, can you steel wool brush strokes out of sealer on tile?
I don't even understand what I just heard. Say that again.
Can you still brush?
Right.
I think what she's saying there are brush strokes in her sealer, which will clue you into the problem.
Oh, okay. So when you apply a sealer, you're supposed to follow the instructions. And those instructions are usually to apply the sealer, work within arm's reach, and then have a dry rag to wipe off any excess sealer. Because if you're living in 2024 or at least in the last 2 decades, you're not using a topical sealer. You're using an enhancing sealer. So if you're using an enhancing sealer, you have to put it on the surface, let it try to soak in, but wipe off any excess before it dries, because if that happens, then a film will appear on the surface of the tile that's really not supposed to be there. And I think she's asking, can you...
The critical part of the question is what she's actually asking. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, can you use a steel brush to get that off?
Right.
It's I mean, I'm not a fan of the steel brush because I could just imagine that leaving residue on certain tiles, and also probably won't scratch a tile, but that probably could get into the tile. I would try before you use something that would actually emulsify that sealer, just like hot water and a clear scrub pad that's plastic, and try to rub real hard to get that sealer off the surface. But I'm curious to know what Craig Cahoon would say.
Well, number one, I never suggest using a steel brush. For the reason you said, it may not harm the face of the tile, but it could.
Right.
But my number one trick that I always try first is when you've sealed a tile, normally the sealer itself. So if you seal it with, for instance, bulletproof sealer, I talk about that a lot. If you put it on incorrectly or too much, you can re-emulsify the sealer with the sealer. So by adding more sealer on top of that, which feels wrong, that will actually re-emulsify and give you a chance to wipe it off. If that's not the case, if it doesn't work, then you have to go to like a stripper, and not one that you may frequent, but a chemical stripper.
Oh, let me cancel that. Hold on a second. I just ordered. Wow. Okay. You know what? I learned that. Well, I'm not going to say I learned that from you before, because if I didn't just remember it now, I don't think I learned it. I heard you say that before, and now you said it again. And I remembered that you said that. And I was quite intrigued that adding more of the sealer could help re-emulsify it. Then do what you were supposed to do and clean all that excess off and wipe it up. That's pretty cool. Is there anything else that where that works, like paint or anything else in the world? Or is that just a sealer world where you could invigorate what's dried
up? I don't know. I mean, we'll throw that out there to the internet. I don't know that there is another item that re-emulsifies it. I would think so. I mean, sealers, even though sealers are awesome, but I would not think they're unique chemical composition. So I would probably say yes, but I can't name any.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking if you had a piece of furniture and you let the sealer, like say you're staining something, and you let it pool a little too much, and then it dried and it's like not smooth, maybe put more of the sealer and maybe it'll loosen it up. Do not try this at home, folks, because we only know tile, nothing else.
Right.
So
we are not responsible for your furniture refinishing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Craig, I interrupted your train of thought there because I wanted to throw that in because we love the questions, and that's really the point of me bringing that up. I love the questions. I mean, I'll say it's probably a bad habit, but as soon as I get up in the morning, that's one of the first things I check. On the way to the gym no, not sealers, but our comments. Who has commented, and is there something? Because a lot of times somebody's commenting because they're in the middle of an issue or a situation,
right?
And I want to try to help out if I can.
You know what? It's pretty cool to learn all these things throughout the years and what people can do, and it's really exciting that Tile Bar, the company that we're employed by, allows for a person of your knowledge and stature to be like, full-time person handling all this technical data, because there's just so much to deal with. And you know what? There is so much, because the product lines that are in the tile world, there's ceramic, there's porcelain, there's glass, there's LVT, there's even some metal type of finishes and metal types of tile. And all of those create their own unique situation, from handling to adhering to the substrate, to protecting it with a sealer if it calls for it. Not everything calls for a sealer, and then also maintaining it. And it's pretty cool how we can actually offer those services through a technical department such as yours. Now, when someone seals something, if they want to clean it, are there things that they can use to clean a sealed tile or stone that won't harm or denigrate the efficiency or the effectiveness, or shall I say the efficacy of the sealer?
Whoa, you're using really big words, John.
I cannot spell it.
Yeah. My suggestion always is whatever you're using to seal it, whether it's Stone Tech, Miracle Sealants, Aqua Sealer, they've got a matching cleaner to go with it. I would stay in the same family. I think that is your safe bet. I believe that, these companies, they market these things together because they work together.
Right.
So I would use that as your rule of thumb. If you sealed it with the Stone Tech Bulletproof Sealer, clean it with the Stone Tech Revitalizer Cleaner. Those work together. You know that. There's no question. Same thing with any of the other. Mapei has a line of sealers, Aquamix. I would stay with that same suggestion no matter what sealer you like or what sealer you use. Find a cleaner that is made to work together.
Well, interestingly enough, the cleaner that's meant to work with the Latacrete actually has a little special bonus in it, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, the Revitalizer Sealer, and this is what I tell the team all the time, when we suggest the sealer, always suggest a Revitalizer cleaner, because every time you clean it, it throws a little bit of sealer kind of back at the installation. And what that does is it cleans and then it protects. So it kind of will limit how often you have to reseal, because sealers don't last forever. I got an email just a little bit ago that in a shower, they put our Prim Mosaic. You're familiar with that? It's a lime,
like a lava stone, a river stone kind of.
Yes, lava stone. It's very porous, and they put it in their shower, and they said we sealed it. Well, this was 9 months ago. A shower is a very chemically invasive environment. I mean, you've got soaps, you've got shampoos. I don't know what the stuff my wife has in our shower. It's crazy. There's some purple stuff, there's green stuff. Who knows? And all of those things affect what's going on with your tile and with your sealer. So, right. And we don't have to stay on this very long, but I did a video about 2 months ago, an intensive on sealers and how to test them to make sure they're still working. And so take a look at that video. It's at Tile the World on YouTube, and it's called Sealers. A unique name.
Did you spend a lot of time coming up with that heading, that title?
Yeah, a lot of times, John, you being in the social media world is weird, and it's obviously I'm a construction guy. That's where my resume says. But I'll spend an hour or two trying to come up with a title, and it will do no better than me just saying sealer.
That's it. That's a good plan.
I don't know what works or what doesn't work. And maybe I need better coaching.
Well, so at the trade shows that we were talking about before, there's a lot more than just ceramic tile at the Cevisama Fair. It's in Valencia. Valencia is the third largest, or the third, I guess, most populous city in Spain. And there's the Valencia Fair.
Is that where the oranges come from?
That's where the oranges come from. Yeah. I don't know.
Valencia oranges or Valencia orange juice?
I don't know if you were trying to spoof me or not, but I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought Valencia oranges was an orange from Florida that's called Valencia. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
let's
definitely don't know.
Let's stick to tile.
Oh yeah. Let's stick to tile.
At the Cevisama show, there's a lot more going on. First, there's natural stone, and there's also ancillary products, supporting products such as sealers and cleaners and machines. If you go to, I know when you go to Covering Show, when you go to Tresai, there's machines to cut stone, water jet technology, all that good stuff. So it's a really big industry show, but it's also furniture, in the bathroom furniture or fixtures or sanitary ware, or we call it just regular plumbing fixtures. So there's a lot of that going on, and it's a really great show. And the real big players in the industry go to these foreign shows. These foreign shows do not have a huge U.S. presence in attendance. I mean, the players are there. The smaller guys just sit back in the U.S. and they wait for the factory representatives to knock on their door. But that's usually after. So there's the show in Spain now, And now the next few months, the reps that cover the territory, they come and visit. But Tile Bar took all the great lines by the time it gets here. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of being there, right? If you're a distributor, and you've been doing distributing a lot longer than I have, but that's the advantage of being there, is you can get a jump on some of the European trends. And I think from just about every perspective, Europe kind of leads the industry in some of the decorative trims. So if it's happening in Spain, 6 months ago, it's just found its way here. And this is a way to kind of jumpstart that trend with your catalog.
And what's really striking is watching this video. People think trade show. Sometimes they're thinking, 8-foot table with a black tablecloth. I mean, these what we call booths are huge. They are nicer,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they're nicer than many showrooms that are permanent fixtures around the world, and they literally get assembled and just knocked down after just a few days of use. But a ton of businesses conducted at these shows, so it's a big investment. Look at that! It's amazing. Look at that building. That is really cool.
Yeah, and it looked like Cevisama is 40 years old. So if that's 40 years old, how old is Cersei?
34 years old.
You don't know, do you?
No, 34. Can you not hear me?
So it's seriously, Cersei is 34 years old?
Oh shit! I'm sorry. That's coverings. I could let me.
That was going to be my next question, but now you've ruined it.
Cersei, ask me some other questions. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to say Cersei came around.
I would think it'd be before
1980s. No, it wasn't. Yeah.
So if it was around in the 80s, then it's 65 years old.
No, that's 40. That's 40. I think that's 44 years old, right?
24. Yeah, yes, you're right. I mean,
so
math hard.
Like I said, stick to tile, no math.
That's right.
Yeah, the tile industry, Craig, don't let that fool you. Italians have been making tile for a long time. The Spaniards have been making tile for a long time. Forming a show is a whole nother story. So, so I believe, because I know I was in Italy and probably 1984 or maybe earlier, right, and I was at the show. So it's probably 44 to 50 years old the most. And the Spanish show is kind of just trailing right behind. And then 10 years behind that is the Coverings show, which wasn't called Coverings. It was the International World of Tile Exposition, something like that.
And I think, and John, before this, speaking of your father being in the distributor industry, before this, how did he find that tile? Did he just go on a trip to Italy and visit factories? Yeah. Is that how you do it?
Yeah. So he went to Italy and he knew of people in Italy that knew people. Actually, his original connection was a friend of his family owned a glaze manufacturing business. So they would make glazes that the ceramic tile manufacturers would use. And back then, the glazes were pretty sophisticated and they were pretty vibrant because everything was what they call a bicatura, twice fired, a double fired ceramic tile. So a red body tile with a glaze on it. I mean, even floor tiles were red body ceramic tiles in the 70s. And
you could still find it in the 80s and 90s, but
I think I'm wrong about
it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, it's the Spanish companies still do.
This was in the 25.
You know what? I think I'm way off by a decade.
That you're harder.
Say that again.
Off by a decade.
So have a little technical.
So
glitch
your
here.
tile was the 70s?
Yeah, I think so. Well, next show we're gonna have that answer. I don't have it in
Wow.
front of me, but yeah, it's been
Okay.
around a while.
Well, hey, I pulled
And
up something just to give you an idea. In Tile Bar, which we know well, these are all of the tiles that we have in our catalog that are made in Spain. And look at what is on the far left hand top box.
so so that's Kenridge, which is our probably #1 selling tile, right?
I see that. I scroll and troll social media all the time. It's so funny how often I see that tile in people. We're not even like tagged on it or anything. See that tile everywhere.
It's really nice, and I don't get tired of it. It's really very organic, inspired product. It looks like Tambro wood, I guess, and now of course that's the maple color. It also comes in a gray, and then later on in the life of it, we
The
brought
ribbon black.
You see,
But the Montauk series is a Spanish.
Yeah, so the Montauk series, go back to that a moment. We kind of attribute that to like a Zili tile look, which is the original tile made in the Middle East,
Yep.
with this very handmade, very shaded tile. It's not a real Zili tile, but it's kind of mimics it in a way. A lot of variation. And thank you, Keith Stevens. Appreciate that. So
now we don't have to do a show next week. Keith figured it out. He's better at Google than you are.
So wow. Okay, that's, you know what, Craig, you brought something up that I really didn't think of. So my dad started the business before the show existed. And
yeah, so he did it the old fashioned way. He traveling salesman, he just went up and went to the factories and said, "Hey, I want a container of this, a container of this, or a container of that." And, shipped it to New York. You had to unload it and put it in the showroom.
Yeah, well, first there was no I unloaded it by hand. I was 10 years old, and we unloaded it by hand in a garage, a 2-car garage, residential garage. Took an ad in the Italian radio station on a Sunday, and people would hear it. They'd call up, the phone would ring in our house. We had a separate phone number, 825-7560. I remember the number, 516. Crazy that I remember the number. And my mom would answer it, "Hello, Fiorano Tile." And then my dad would go to their house with a kind of a handmade suitcase that my brother made out of wood and wheels and rope, and he shop at home tile. And literally, and then we opened the showroom nearby to the house on Long Island.
That's hilarious. And, because that's what you're doing day in and day out today. We're selling tile and we'll deliver it directly to your house.
This is true. Wow. So I haven't advanced much.
or you could say you've come full circle. At least we don't have a wooden cart with wheels and a rope.
Yeah. Did you ever see those? Do you ever see when you buy these in the hardware store, like the letters to put the numbers on your house? They're like silver and black and they're on an angle.
Yeah.
So my brother went to the hardware store, bought those, the company name, and put it on the wood box, stained the box, and had the company name. And I wish I had that, because that was the first travel
traveling tile salesman.
Yeah.
Well, I think now, John, tell me, what is unique about Spanish tile? What if you said they had an attribute that maybe some other parts of the world don't have? What would you say to that?
Okay, so what I say for Spain is in some ways is the same for Italy, and there's some things that are different. So I'm going to talk about first the similarities. The similarities are the Italians and the Spaniards are very creative. They're really very creative. They also have this affinity to nature and things that are natural looking and natural feeling. And they also are a little dynamic, right? They'll put a yellow tile in a kitchen or orange tile in a kitchen backsplash. And I think the Italians and the Spaniards do the same. Germany is a lot like that. Germany is very bold. They'll do some really bold stuff. So that's where the similarities are. The differences I see is the sectors that they decide to focus on, and it's evolved. So the Italians used to make a lot of ceramic tile, and through the years they've really perfected the porcelains and kind of put a lot of energy and effort into porcelain, and left, and I'm not saying that across the board, but in general, a lot of our really nice ceramic wall tile is from Spain. There's more to pick from with the Spanish factories than there are on the Italian factories in the ceramic end, with like these beautiful undulated glazes as you see in front of us, the shaded tile, or in Italy they call fume, like fumes, fume tile. So
now I may be wrong. You tell me if I'm wrong, because you know our catalog better than anybody.
You're usually wrong, but it's okay. Well, maybe you'll be right this time.
And I know I think, last time I checked, we're up to like 3,500 SKUs. But it seems like to me most of the extruded porcelain have been from Spain. Is that something they specialize in, or am I just kind of?
Yeah, I think so. They have, it's pretty interesting how the two countries have, kind of separated themselves a little in the technology and embraced it. Also, it's important to note that the United States is not the only market for tile. So
I would say I would say it's probably a large part of their market, but probably not the largest.
So it depends. I mean, there are some factories in Italy and Spain that design their products for the U.S. market, and it's a good bet to market to the U.S. market. But there are a lot of factories that sell to the U.S. that have huge, business in the Middle East, in Asia, in Russia, things like that, that use a lot of tile per capita. I haven't looked at the statistics lately, but per capita, Americans still use a lot less tile per capita than some other countries. Now, other countries like Japan, they're tiling skyscrapers and have done that for decades.
and that's what I've noticed. Anytime I've gone to Europe, which is not much, but in Italy, they'll tile the outside of a building, which for some reason we're not getting on board with that, which I wish we would, because it's we talk about it all the time. Tile is sustainable. It lasts forever. It's hardly stainable. So tiling the outside of the building is a pretty good bet. And I know they do that in a lot of other places.
They do.
And we don't do that here yet.
Do you know what one of the leading exterior cladding products is in the U.S.? It's not tile.
Exterior cladding products in the U.S. that is not tile.
I was surprised to learn this.
I would say glass.
Metal.
Okay.
Metal is huge. It's really, I don't know anything about that industry, but there's a lot of buildings that are metal clad in different types of metal. I really don't even know the formats and how it works. But that's a big competition. Manhattan, of course, has limestone. Stone historically is more popular for buildings.
I've settled on this Enigma tile, John. What do you look at how unique this is?
Yeah. So what's really interesting about the Enigma tile is that it has that. So that's very tactile, right? Some tiles look textured and they're not. This one is textured, and it is. That is really, it's very eloquent speaking. I know.
I would say we would write that down. Put that in your memoirs.
Yeah, you could quote that. But it is. But it also, when we talk about cleaning, you would think that texture is very hard to clean, but it's not, for two reasons. It has a really soft glaze to it. So even though there's slight ripples, those creases in the tile, you can feel them. The glaze is very almost shiny, glossy. So nothing real. It's easy to clean off, and also has no porosity. So even tiles that are textured still can't stain because they're non-porous, or I mean, the slight possibility a tile could stain is like 0.000 something. So It really is. But so the Enigma is a really cool tile. You have to see pictures of it.
I don't know that I have ever seen that yet.
Yeah,
Or I've seen that series yet.
Type in the word curves. I think we showed that. We showed that. We looked at curves
right
before. Yeah. So
yeah, we looked at curves before. I thought I liked curves.
Yeah, it's a nice line. We did. So if anybody that's watching, a little trick of the trade, Craig, go to the top back to the top and all the different buttons you can click on our website, and you see tile. Click on tile, top left, and what's really cool is new products. So go back to that, click on tile, and you see the second bullet says new. I hate those pull down things because you got to like be quick with the wrist there. New products.
Yeah.
So that's something that if you're in the tile world, I use that tool and I work for the company. You go there and you see things uploaded all the time. We're launching new products every week that are featured on our website. Look at that glass, the Komorebi glass.
Yeah,
was one of our original lines, and now we added like kind of like those river rocks and bricks in the Komorebi. Really,
that Born series is really cool.
Very nice, right?
I love the visual differences. That's probably what, a V4.
Yeah, probably so. I really, yeah. So if that was another tile, somebody would that I mean, if you look at one of those colors, other series that are designed not to have variation, that would be 5 different colors in the series. Do you want the dark green, the light green, the medium green, right? Here, it's all mixed in, intentional. You pay extra for that. Now, I'm only kidding about the pay extra, but you know what the challenge of that is?
It's a design that, I would say historically, you're right. You would choose one of those colors and you do your whole wall that way, or you do an accent that way. But now we intentionally, and I don't know if ombre is the right word, because ombre is normally, in a consistent, but it's several different shades of the same color, which I think it's stunning.
It really, if that was a Benjamin Moore, that would be 9 different colors to pick, probably 10 different colors to pick from paint, right? So you have
absolutely.
So the biggest challenge for me, calling on architects and designers, and as you know, I help architects and designers find the right product. I'm gonna give you my elevator pitch. I help architects and designers find the right products for their projects on time and in budget. And
I love it.
The thing is this: try to sample that. If you say, John, send me UPS a sample of that to me, and you get the dark one, and then so this is where the visuals are really important. Matter of fact, you can't even sample that series unless if it's a nice project. And I just did this the other day. I sent a whole box to a specifier, a whole box of tiles.
Yeah, you'd have to, or sample boards, which you'd have to create so many sample boards. Yeah, you're better off just sending the whole box.
Yeah, unless some people don't need to know every nuance of the green in order to say yes, we love it. Some people do need that, so it really depends on the project and the specifier and the project. But most importantly, is we have the visuals, and that's what's really cool about Tile Bar is that we invest in a tremendous amount of resources and time and talent in photographing products. Fotographing products 90% of the time much better than the manufacturers photograph their own products. Like we import a product and we photograph it in an amazing way, and then we create room scenes and style shots and
I think part of that, John, is because we've got a pulse on what our clients and want to see, and maybe a factory in Spain may not have. I mean, they're going to show it on a wall or on this, but we're going to be able to show it in maybe a different situation that the American customer will kind of be tugged to or point to.
Well, here's an example. You go to Europe, you'll see a kitchen with tile on the walls. I don't mean the backsplash. I mean the walls of the kitchen. And that's cool, but we don't do that here in the US. So if we took a picture, that last tile that we looked at, if we had a visual of a kitchen done with that in the walls, people would appreciate the product, but couldn't relate to it. So
Yeah.
we create our own imagery, but there's another reason we do it, of course, is that not everybody wants to get out of the house or get out of the office to shop. Now with technology, you could literally go to the internet and go to a website like ours and search and see a tile up close. You could focus in on the tile. A lot of times we have pictures of the back of the tile, which seems ridiculous. I love that feature because being in the tile world, if I look at the back of something, sometimes I know the country of origin just by looking at the clay, right? You could see, is it a ceramic? Is it a porcelain? Is it something laminated or fused together like the nano glass, where it's the glass fused to the porcelain? So I love when we have the backs of products or the sides of products. Architects and designers sometimes like that as well. But what's really cool is when you're looking at a mosaic, sometimes these mosaics are created not square. They're created like a puzzle, and they interlock like a river stone. And it's cool to see what you're buying. So literally the sample that we send to a customer is really just to affirm the color. Everything else is viewable online.
Yeah. Well, and another good thing is, because of technology, you can take that tile that you like and insert it into a picture of your room. And that's something that we've invested heavily in. And that, once again, helps that person. And you don't get that from the local tile store. You can only find that online and in the virtual world.
The room visualizer is amazing. So there's two facets to that, and you're really very on point there, Craig. So we have generic rooms. So if you want to take a tile and plug it into a generic kitchen, generic bathroom, different applications, we have a dozen applications, maybe not that many. But you could also upload a picture of the room and then click the tile. I have no idea how that technology works. It's way above my pay grade.
Sorcery.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy, right?
Yes. Well, John, now Cevisama obviously is in Spain. We got a bunch of teammates over there that are over there trying to find the right tile to bring home. But coming in April is Coverings. Now, Coverings is the premier tile and stone show, I would dare say, in North America. Would that be a correct statement?
Oh, 1,000%, because everybody that's in the tile industry in the US that show is important. The European shows are just to the select few that go to those shows. And it's not, if you're not importing big amounts, it doesn't even pay to go to the European shows. Right. But the Coverings, and what's interesting about Coverings is we have been invited back to Coverings. And why don't you tell people about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's we very honored to be a part of the podcast team last year, and it was great, and we didn't offend enough people, so they've given us a second chance. But what's crazy this year, John and I started talking about this a while ago, and I don't know if anybody out there in the internet world knows it, but social media is a big deal. And it's a big deal to not only your personal life, but to business. And so we started talking about how that affects us. And this podcast, not only does it allow us to talk about tile, but it does give us a different reach. And so do all the other social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all those. And so John and I thought it would be a great idea to kind of bring that 21st century and beyond to the tile show and have a conversation. So I dabble around. Obviously, if you've seen me online, you know that I have several different channels that I keep up with, and I don't claim to be a know-it-all about digital media, but I've met a couple of people, and one of them is my friend Sharon at Laticrete. She is the digital marketing manager for Laticrete, and she's been helping me navigate some different digital marketing things that are happening at Tile Bar. And so as we were talking, I said, well, John, wouldn't it be cool to have a guest that knows more than we do? And John said, well, that's not going to be hard. And I said, correct. And so we decided to invite Sharon onto the podcast for our Coverings podcast live on the floor. And then to round out our group of four, I've been following Nathan for a while and looking at his stuff. He does some really cool installations. I believe he wouldn't mind me saying this. He's an artist at heart, and but also he has a good following as a content creator. And content creator is on pace to be one of the biggest markets in the world. It is currently a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that didn't exist 10 years ago, which is crazy.
It really is. And I love the title, content to clicks, right? Because that really sums it up. Digital marketing today is the subtitle. Content to clicks, it's what it is. Anytime you're talking about social media, you're talking about content, right? You need content. Some people
That's
have
right.
no content and struggle with it. Other people have a lot of content and need to harness it and figure out how to dish it out. And then why do you want content? Because you want clicks. We use that word loosely, right? Clicks, views, you want engagement. Right. So it's just an all-encompassing wraparound word. Clicks meaning we want engagement. And that's the whole ball of wax. And what you were talking about is the way things are, social media and all that is digital marketing is so important. You know, years ago, let me fast forward. There are, young people today that they're making a lot of money in this digital marketing world, influencers, social media experts. And I can see the conversations going on at the kitchen table now that what do you want to be when you grow up, or they're getting to the age and they're talking about that. And the parents are like, what are you talking about? You should be a lawyer. Back in the day it was like, oh, I want to be a baseball player or a DJ or something. And you like, or an actor. Right. And they'll be like, oh, that's pie in the sky. You can't make a living doing that. You got to get a real job. But there's thousands of people in this country now and across the globe that have harnessed the technology, and it really is truly an industry, within an industry. So what we did with this show is we brought in a manufacturer, an employee of the manufacturer, and she's going to talk about how do you make grout sexy? I mean, they sell cement products, right? And stuff.
Yeah. Dirt in a bag. How do you create social media content about dirt in a bag? Well, you can. As I've had some people analyze my channels and stuff, and I remember one of the consultants said, "How do you do a podcast about tile?" Well, you do, and people watch it, and it's crazy. But John, you were talking about the influencers. Number one, when you ask an elementary kid what they want to be when they grow up, YouTuber is consistently number 1 or 2 on the list.
That's interesting / scary to me.
Yep. But it just like you said, it is the movie star, TV show star of today. And the crazy thing, just like you said, is that you can make a living being a content creator. And I would love to get Nathan's perspective, because he was a tile setter first, I believe, and a content creator second. And there's a balance between that. And so it's going to be a great forum for discussion. I don't know that you're going to walk away and go, I have 5 steps to being a better content creator, but I guarantee you we're going to open the door, and you're going to realize that if my company is not doing content creation or not active on social media, I'm hoping you walk away going, I need to revamp. I need to do something different. I need to do better at this. That's the goal. In my opinion, the tile industry has been slow to turn and slow to kind of, I'm not going to say a good old boys team or market, but technology has, we look at the things we use every day and they haven't changed that much for hundreds of years, but still we've got to harness the technology so that we can all grow together. And that's what that's what it's going to be. It's
true. I feel like we're going to meet people where they're at. So there'll be people watching live, people watching at the actual Atlanta podcast studio, at the Coverings podcast studio. And we're going to meet people where they're at. And what I mean by that is there may be somebody there who just doesn't feel that they need to have that much presence on social media, despite it being so omnipresent. And it may be a contractor that's attending. It may be a manufacturer that's selling sponges for the tile industry. And they're like, I don't know, sponges. And then there may be some manufacturers that have a team of social media people. And that's why I'm excited about us, because, you have we have our podcast. So we could talk about, the technical things about our podcast. We could talk about, the trials and tribulations to get it off the ground and to do it for 1 year consistently. But we also have manufacturer and we have an influence. Now the influencer is hired. So I think there's going to be a lot of interested parties or people that would say, how do you hire an influencer? And I think that's going to be addressed also. And when I said before, it's scary, like no denigration to the industry. It's just that not everybody could, like, somebody needs to do my taxes and someone needs to build a car. Like, not everybody could go into, we need some people who are not influencers to do all the other things in the world. So not every kid should be a social media influencer or a tech savvy person, because there's other things, other industries, right? That we need, but it is probably one of the more fun things to do, especially if you're the food influencer, right? And you're going to restaurants taking pictures of pizza.
I want to be a travel influencer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be cool. I would be a food influencer.
Maybe we should start a food and travel influencing, and you do the food, I'll do the travel, and I think that's our next thing.
I'm sighing because I'm like, don't get me started now, because now we're gonna have no time for anything in our life. I'm thinking Anthony Bourdain, right? What was it, Things Unknown or whatever? He'd get But I don't like chocolate covered cockroaches and things like that. I just want.
Well, that's when you just make me eat the nasty stuff, and then maybe me throwing up will get us more viewers. I don't know. This is a great brainstorm on how we can travel and eat for free, which is really my end goal in life.
It's good. It's great, Craig. It's good to have goals. Can you put back the graphic for the show and just to give it the timing and the dates and location?
Yeah. The Coverings in Atlanta. I didn't put the date up there, but we are on the 23rd. I think I put it on that one. Yep. The 23rd at noon at the podcast studio. And we're posting, or I am, I don't know if John's participating in the advertisement, but I'm posting it on social media pretty regularly, so that any of my friends or family or hecklers want to show up, they can show up at the right time in the right place. But it is Tuesday. The show opens on Monday for late registration. I think the floor opens on Tuesday. We are the first podcast right out of the gate, so we're going to get things started off with a bang. Tuesday the 23rd, 12, Atlanta, Georgia, Coverings. Make sure you are watching live. We should be able to stream it this year, and sit with us and ask questions. Maybe we'll have some giveaways. I don't know if John lets me have a budget.
Yeah, I have some ideas on that. That would be great. Yeah, so if you're attending Coverings, please make it a point to be. I just realized we were the first one out of the gate. That's really cool. That's a great spot. So we'll get all the technical glitches.
Yeah, that's right. If something doesn't work, hopefully by the time the 1:00 podcast comes along, we'll have it figured out for them.
Yeah. So whoever is coming, just be prepared to stay for the 1:00, so you'll definitely be able to hear something that day. But yeah, I'm excited about it. It's really cool. This is the second year that we're broadcasting live from the covering show, first in Orlando and now in Atlanta. Is the show going back to Orlando next year? Somehow I think it is.
I haven't even planned this year out, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it usually, it's usually Orlando's kind of the home base for coverings.
Yep.
Atlanta's kind of second home, like the vacation home. Chicago is once in a while. Vegas is once in a while. But I think next
New
year.
Orleans, didn't they go to New Orleans, or is that the other show?
1 year before Katrina, it was in New Orleans. That was the last time it was there. So that was a long time ago. It was a real long time ago. It was the least successful show as far as I'm concerned, because I used to have a booth and I was an exhibitor there, and I would have to say it was my least successful show. It was just something about the dynamic of the location or the timing or the economy, whatever it was at that time. I do remember it to be
didn't go well.
I didn't want to go back thinking it was the location. It may not have been the location. It was also, walking to the trade show at 8 a.m. and feeling like you were in a swamp. It was so freaking humid. It was insane. It was crazy. But all the
Atlanta this year, it's been a minute since it's been in Atlanta, or at least since I've been back to Atlanta. So it'll be interesting to see all of our friends there. I'll be in and out quick, but I hope we get to talk to as many people as we can, and come see us there live and in person, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in Spain right now watching this, hope you have a good show at Cevisama. We have the ownership and management and our buyers all there working at the show, finding new products. We also have a whole team of people at the KBIS show also, because we also have products that on our website, like the mirrors, and we have vanities, and we have a lot of shower doors. All these things that are being kind of integrated into the Tile Bar website. A lot of those type of products are at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, which is a show produced by the National Kitchen and Bath Association. So we have a big team right now today in Vegas, big team in Valencia, Spain, and the rest of the team is here home paying the bills, selling some tile, and delivering some tile, giving technical advice. And we're here in our podcast saying hello to all the people out there. Next week, we have a great show lined up. Hopefully you guys could to join us. We do our show, despite the fact that we did something Friday. That was National Tile Day. That was a special edition. Our show is normally on Tuesdays at 8 p.m., usually to roughly 9. It's not set in stone, pardon the pun, but 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, most social media channels. We're really glad you're here. We're really glad you're watching. And I just like to wish everybody peace, health, and happiness.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Keep up with us on social media. There, we have a bunch of different channels. Here's just a few of them. And drop us a line. Let us know what we can help you with, what questions you have. You have an idea for a show. You want to be on a show? Let us know. If you're a tile professional or interested in being a tile professional, I don't know the right words to say that. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, let's keep learning together and tile the world.